we on? Yes. Hello. Okay. Hope everyone had a great lunch. So excited for this panel today, which is called Crafting the Future of Luxury Fashion. My name is Alexandra Wilkis Wilson, and I am thrilled to welcome you all to our conversation today. We are here with two trailblazing executives in the luxury sector. First, we have Natacha Lamour-Nahim, president of Hublot North America and the Caribbean, whose leadership and innovative strategies have significantly shaped the luxury watchmaking landscape. Alongside her is Carolina Ortiz, vice president of PR and communications for Miami, Latin America, and the Caribbean at Tiffany & Co. Known for her adept skills in driving brand growth and consumer engagement across diverse markets. Their leadership in transforming iconic brands while keeping heritage alive. So let's dive into a powerful discussion on leadership at the forefront of a luxury legacy. You both have inspiring paths leading to significant leadership roles in luxury. Can you share a bit about your journey arriving at the positions you are in today? Was there a defining moment in your career that set you on this path? Let's start with Natacha first.
Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. I think for me, the defining moment was when I chose not to go to medical school. I had always had side jobs while I was at the university studying to go to medical school. And when I finally decided that it was not for me and really leap into luxury, that was a defining moment. And at that point, I knew I needed to adopt a posture of curiosity, of being able to welcome feedback. And I had such great mentor that did just that really invested in me and allowed me to be able to grow and progress.
I have to say hello as well, as you did, right? So hi, everyone. It's very, very happy to be here. For me, I wouldn't say it was a defining moment. I would say that it was a defining process. I always knew that I wanted to do marketing and that I wanted to do something with, advertising and PR. I always knew that. And I think that I, consistently pursued working for aspirational brands. Not necessarily luxury, but always aspirational brands. I think that, consistency and the passion, because I am very, very passionate about it, is what brought me where I'm here today. And I absolutely don't take it for granted. Like, I do wake up every day, and I feel blessed and happy to go to the office and to say, hey, I have to come up with plans to sell, amazing jewelry, or five-star hotels, or high-end technology, or I really do appreciate the pleasure of that. It is a pleasure to do that kind of job.
A posture of gratitude. I love that.
The positions you each have come with great responsibility. In this fast-changing world of global opportunities, team building, and motivation, they all present significant challenges for leaders. Natacha, what are your best practices for creating a driven culture and a high-performing team within a luxury goods company?
Great question. Establishing a high-performing team really requires patience. And as well, it takes a balancing act. Let's be honest, dealing with people is messy, right? You have to have a certain level of emotional intelligence to be able to adapt to who they are, what drives them, what are their purpose, and what motivates them. And there's this great book by Brené Brown called Dare to Lead, which I'm a big fan of, that really talks about leading with vulnerability. So I have 5 practices that to me are key. The first practice is all about casting clear vision. If your vision is not clear, and clear I mean to the point that your grandmother knows exactly what you're doing, then your team is unclear of what you're trying to achieve. And by being clear in your vision, that allows you to be able to set goals for your team, which takes me to the second practice, right? And the second practice is really about celebrating your team's accomplishment based on the goals that they're achieving. And when you do that, it allows them to really stay the course, to measure progress. It also makes room for a culture of feedback and key learnings, which takes me to the third practice. The third practice is all about empowering your team. How do you do that? And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that everything is permissible when I say empowering. Empowering is really making sure that you've set parameters for your teams, that you've given them a frame of work that allows them to be able to take decision. And then they're really invested in what the company is trying to achieve, the vision, and in the outcome. The fourth practice is really about cultivating open communication and transparency. And open communication, I don't mean a one-way street, but really two-way. And I think for leaders, sometimes that could be very hard because we cast our vision, we're so focused on that and on achieving our goals that we're not necessarily opening ourselves to taking in the feedback from the team, hearing from them of, is the strategy the right one? Are we on track to achieve the targets that we want to achieve? And so when you create an open communication organization, it allows your team to be able to have insight, input that allows you to thrive. And so my doors are always open, and I welcome that because that allows me also to remain agile and to pivot if I need on any objectives that we have. And the last one is really fostering collaboration cross-department. I think if that doesn't happen, and if your organization works as silos, it's a perfect recipe for disaster. Organization must allow cross-collaboration, teams cohesion. Everybody should be so clear on the vision that they know that the work that they're doing is contributing. And there's a story, and I'm sure you've all heard it, of President Kennedy visiting the space area when in the 60s, and he asked the janitor that was cleaning the floor, "What is your job here?" And he replied, "Putting a man on the moon," right? And so though he was perhaps not sitting in the boardroom making decision, he was very clear on what was his role and how he could contribute and cross-collaborate. And I think out of those 5 practices that I've shared, at the base of that is you must prioritize respect, accountability, and promote a culture of growth mindset. So that for me is really how I've been able to develop a high-performing team.
Couldn't agree more.
I mean, you just touched on so many really important lessons. I hope everyone was listening. I think 2 things that you said that resonate with me, you said at the beginning, is that understanding what motivates your team members. Early in my career, I realized we're all motivated by very different things.
Yes.
And so the sooner you're able to understand what motivates the other person, I think it's much easier to lead them. And then the other thing you said, which I wonder if you can maybe elaborate, is talking about transparency and communication. How do you do that in a luxury goods company that's a bit corporate and a bit formal compared to a more, let's say, startup environment?
That's a great question. I think one has to be approachable. We have to, as leaders, and if you're leading your organization, break down the barriers. Remove the barrier, remove the autocracy, remove the hierarchy. Yes, it's important in decision-making and having frame of works for your team, but if you're not approachable, they're never going to be able to be honest with you. And approachable meaning just a simple hello. What are you working on? What is giving you perhaps a headache right now? What project can I support you? That's always, even before being in the role that I'm in right now. When I joined Hublot, I was a retail director. And my first 3 months, I went from department to department, introduced myself, what I did, and I asked, how can I support you? So Alexandra, I would have said to you, like, how can I support you if you were in marketing, right? What is my team not doing that perhaps is creating a headache? And so I think that is critical because it's helping create a culture of we want to achieve the same objective at the end of the day. It's for the organization to be successful. So approachable, I think, is going to be key because then you're building trust, right? And that makes room for people to feel comfortable to come to you with problems, ideas, solution.
Thank you. Carolina, leadership within large and iconic companies requires staying at the forefront of a constantly evolving market while maintaining the brand's legacy, values, and traditions. In your role at a heritage brand in a luxury conglomerate, how do you balance innovation with preserving the brand's heritage and values, and what strategies help you navigate this delicate balance?
I think that this is one of the most interesting paradoxes, right? Because we have brands that have been around for hundreds of years, and we have, many stories to tell. But I think that is like the most interesting content and, let's say, meat, to be able to innovate and to be able to be different and continue to be interesting, consistently. For me, it's about, using different platforms that can help us to keep the story alive and minding always, what's right now, interesting. What are people seeing? What kind of platforms? What kind of collaborations? What kind of partnerships can we build that are relevant for the times that we're living right now? But I don't think it's really something that it's a challenge. On the very contrary, this heritage, these stories are just so much content to create innovation. Sometimes I don't even think that we need new products, even though there are amazing new products. But there's products that were created 30 years ago, and they're still super innovative and super modern. It's just a matter of finding that agility, finding that resiliency, adaptability, and making sure that whenever you're not standing still, that you're evolving with the times and with the generations. But that doesn't mean that we need to disturb the brand or disrupt the brand. It needs that we need to just tell the brand in a different way.
You made me think of something. About 20 years ago, I worked at Bulgari, and I ran the retail stores and reported to a man named François Cress. And he, anyone know him? And I loved working for him. I was young, and he gave me a lot of responsibility. And he would say to me in his French accent, Alexandra, there's no
like my boss.
There's no such thing as a luxury brand. I'll say it in regular English. There's no such thing as a luxury brand that hasn't been around for more than 100 years. And I remember, that would stick in my head. And I was not sure if I really agreed with it or not, but obviously a lot of people have that perspective. Do you have thoughts on that?
That there's not really a brand that had lasted for so many years?
Like, in order to qualify as luxury, to be around, do you need to be around 100 years, or can you build a luxury brand faster?
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. I think that you can build a luxury brand and, in 1 year, and it's going to be luxury. Luxury is so many things right now. Definitely you can build it. Now, the old brands have this leverage on legacy and stories and romanticism, and that it makes it much more interesting. But it doesn't really mean that you cannot create luxury. Luxury is so many things. It's evolving. The concept of luxury evolves every day.
I agree. I couldn't agree. I'm sorry to jump in, Carolina. It's so true. I mean, Hublot is 44 years old, and yet we sell a timepiece that's $20,000 price point. And we started basically in saying our founder, Croco, decided to put rubber on precious metal, gold. And there began the MDM, Montre des Montres, a watch of watches. And I think what was interesting when Jean-Claude Biver, our CEO in 2005, came on board, he decided that the brand's ethos was to be innovative. And for him, innovation was all about looking to the past to inform the future. And so I agree with you, is that a brand doesn't need to be 100 years old, though it has its benefit, as Carolina has said, the legacy, the romanticism, the ability to create incredible storytelling, and of course, the mastery of artisanship.
I agree with both of you, for the record. This is for Natacha, in such a large organization, effective communication is critical. How do you ensure alignment and that everyone stays informed on the team?
So it goes back to what I talked about earlier, right? When you have a clear vision that your grandmother is able to grasp and she knows what it is, what I do is I ensure that my leadership team is aligned with that vision. Then I go and align with our global brand vision. So I make sure that our headquarters in Switzerland, or wherever it could be, is aligned with what we're doing, and that there's alignment with where they want to take the brand. Once that's done, that then requires for me to have clarity, consistency, which you've highlighted multiple times, Carolina, and consideration. Tactically speaking, that means there could be no ambiguity. That means that I need to be super clear on the expectations that I have of my team, the expectations that my boss has of me. So I speak with the CEO and the commercial officer on a daily basis to make sure that we are aligned. Then, in terms of consistency, I then go to my team, to our senior leadership team here locally, and communicate to them objectives, expectations, how we're going to measure. And I want to make sure that I'm cultivating a sharing routine, so either that be weekly, monthly, so that we're able to prioritize. And so one of the things that I do is that once my vision is cast, what are the 6 pillars that we want to measure, that we're going to use to measure our progress? And this is something that I learned, is that when you focus on your priorities, at least the top 20, it yields 80% of the results that you want to have. So setting priorities is clear, and your team, you must be able to cascade down. And so my senior leadership goes back to their team to make sure that they are also clear. And I then, at time, once my leaders tell me when they meet with their team, I'll do a surprise pop-up during their meetings, just so I could hear what they have to say, just so I could take in. And it's not me monopolizing the conversation, it's more me trying to be informed, understand if there's progress, if I need to pivot, if we need to cross-correct. And I think that gives the team an opportunity to see that their opinion matters, that the work that they're doing is important. And this is really how the consistency part is key, because also in addition is what you want to do is that you want to make sure that how you act, the actions and your execution are not just words, it's that you're actually doing it, they're matching your vision. This is critical. And the last thing that I would say is the open door policy. I talked about open communication, that open door policy. So many times I've had an idea of where I wanted to go. I was so clear. And many times I've had a team member perhaps that came to me and shared that I had a blind spot that I did not see. And that has allowed me to remain ahead of the game. So for me, this is how I think I've been able to align with the strategy, the global vision, but also by staying in touch with my team and making sure that there's a consistent way for us to track our progress and to have these meetings that allow us to know that we are on the right path.
Thank you. Carolina, managing nearly 20 stores across diverse markets, including Mexico, Brazil, and Chile, must bring unique challenges. How do you build consistent brand loyalty and engagement across such a variety of markets?
You know that I love this question because people that are not from Latin America, they think that we're all the same. Like we're all the same. We're all Mexican. and I, you know, for those who really work in Latin America, there's really not, I mean, we're one of the more complex regions in the world. And I can assure you that Mexico is very different to Chile, and Chile is very different to Brazil, and Brazil is very different to Colombia, and that none of them are similar to Dominican Republic. And that as Latin Americans, and I'm a proud Colombian, I can tell you that for me, it's important that any brand, I don't care, what type of brand or how huge you are, is that you acknowledge that my culture is important. So I would say two things. Yes, definitely. One of the most important things for a luxury brand is brand consistency, brand guidelines. We are brand police. And that is reflected in many, many ways. The creatives that we use, when we do campaigns, the products that we push, the way that we build our stores, the way that our talent or people in the stores service our clients. But there's also a very super important pillar that complements this, and is how do we adapt it to each of the markets? It doesn't mean that we're sacrificing quality. Many times, I would say we cannot guarantee quality, then let's not do it. Like, I prefer to not do it if we cannot find the quality in this specific situation. But in every single event, activation, you name it, content creation that we do in different markets, we always try to find that local flavor that doesn't compromise, the brand elevation or the brand guidelines. So it's definitely complex, but it is a must to, I don't like to say tropicalize, but yes, to make sure that every market is treated individually.
Natacha, with the rapid evolution of consumer preferences and tech in luxury, and I'm thinking the Apple Watch, sorry, where do you see hard luxury moving in the next decade?
Oof. Wow. I mean, there's been such significant transformation and changes. I think for watch and jewelry, there are three trends. The first one, it's no surprise to anyone, it's the hallmark of luxury. It's personalization, right? This is key. I've seen this so many times, even when I was in fashion. A couple is walking into a store. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary. They're in Hawaii. They want to memorize. They want to create a memory from that experience, whatever the journey. And I think personalization is a hallmark of luxury. This is something, it's not new. It's, I believe, here to stay. Consumers are looking for that. It's also what allows them to be able to self-identify. It's also, for us in timepiece, we do a lot of limited edition. And I always receive pushback when I want to do a limited edition. I just did one for Hawaii. It took us 2 years to design this timepiece because we wanted to be culturally relevant to that market. But the success was unbelievable because we paid homage exactly to the islands of Hawaii, and the consumer there were very proud of it. Same thing with the Texas edition I just launched, same thing. It took time and passion, but when done right, and when I mean done right, hearing what the consumers are asking for, they respond very well to it. I think the second trend is this trend of gender neutral and inclusivity, right? This is something that we've seen in fashion that I think is also now moving towards watch and jewelry. It was a little bit late, right? Wouldn't you agree? And finally, we are noticing these changes and really integrating ourselves into these designs. For Watch and Wonders, in April, we launched a 29mm watch, which was well received by media. Myself, who was, I would say, publicly was narrow-minded at the time, did not think of this timepiece as a timepiece for men, but yet they loved it, right? And so right now, we are no longer, as a brand, thinking of this gender-specific, but more gender-neutral.
Well, and so many women like wearing big watches.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I am one of those.
Yeah, me too.
The bigger, the better.
Come see me.
I will. We'll talk later.
And then the last one, you touch on it. Yes, Apple has done this really well with their Apple Watch. It's really the integration of technology. And so we've seen, not just with my brand, but with other brands as well, connected luxury timepieces that allows you to be able to track your wellness, your health. We've seen it also in jewelry. I think all of these trends are key without forgetting about artisanal craftsmanship. That's never going anywhere. It's what allows a brand to be able to do a storytelling. It's also what allows you to add value to the product that you're selling.
Okay, just 2 more questions, and then I'm going to open it up if we have enough time. So put your thinking caps on. Okay, for Carolina, luxury brands often excel in creating an inviting in-store experience that connects deeply with customers. Could you share the philosophy behind this approach and how it shapes customer relationships with a brand?
This is the pinnacle of luxury for me. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing is more important than the experience and the connection that is done in the store. Nothing. Real luxury goes beyond the wall, the art that we have in the walls, the quality of the champagne that you are offering, the vitrines, the carpets. No, it's the connection. It's having the right people and the right talent that can identify immediately what is the purpose of the client's visit, what motivates it, what moves it. If a client enters the store, there's a reason why they're there. And there is an emotional reason, especially when we're talking about jewelry. So there is something very unique about that money can buy experience of that connection that you can do in the store, and that is what is going to be determinantal for following up then and create a long-lasting relationship with the customer, with a client. It's not about the transaction. It's about the connection. How do you connect?
May I expand? Because Carolina is so right. One of the things that I'm advocating for right now is for continued education unrelated to product knowledge, but really to what she's talking about. How do we train our people, right, to be able to develop emotional intelligence, soft skills, critical thinking in the moment? These are things that I think when we work for the brands that we do, yes, heritage, history, product knowledge, brand knowledge are critical. But now in this new world, clients are craving, consumers are craving for relationships. And not everybody is an extrovert, right? You do have introverts, so you need to be able to give them the tools and the education to be able to develop those skills to do just that.
The more digital we go, the more important are these connections.
100%.
Otherwise, just go online and just buy online. So, and that's part of luxury. For me, that's number 1 priority. Having a team that can have that superpower, because it is a superpower.
Okay, 1 more question for me, and then I'm hoping you guys aren't going to let me down. So what an incredible audience we have here. Brilliant, beautiful, fashionable. I'm sure that many of these women are aspiring to have roles such as yours and climb the ranks within luxury. So could each of you give some advice to women or men looking to climb the luxury ladder?
Difficult one.
Yes, it is. My motto is to live a life of courage. And I'm not always courageous, so I'll be very honest, right? I think the reason why I say that is because in living a life of courage, you'll then develop patience. Patience in the sense that you'll understand that Rome was not built in one day. You're not going to build your team in one day. You're not going to build your organization in one day. You have to be patient. You have to be patient also in addition when it comes to trial and errors, right? You have to try new things. And you have to be comfortable when you fail, because in the failures, that's where the success will come. I will also say that you need to be able to develop a circle of friends of trusted friends that have different ways of thinking than you. So diversity of thought is really what I'm referring to here. That could be on your own personal board. So that's your own board of directors that are being able to see your blind spot, that are able to challenge you to think outside of your comfort zone. I think for me, this has allowed me to really stay open, be open to feedback and criticism. I know it's never comfortable, but when you're open to feedback and criticism, you develop a posture of curiosity. So you ask more questions. Well, what do you mean by I did not excel in this performance? Was it my speech? Was it the way my body language? Be specific and intentional as you're asking for that feedback. And in all of this, if you have the incredible opportunity to work for a heritage brand, or if your own organization becomes a huge organization, I believe stay true to your company's values and to who you are. Be a woman of integrity, be a man of integrity. Do not change who you are, your ethos, for someone else. That's a recipe for disaster. You're not going to be comfortable in your own skin. So if you stay true to who you are, I believe, yes, it might not be the conventional way. It might take you longer, but you'll be proud of the person that you're looking at in the mirror.
I think this is really valuable feedback for any career and any sector. So hopefully you guys were listening. Carolina.
And you know, difficult to compliment because those are amazing. For me, it's two that I can think of that are, you know, we could sit, you know, here for hours and talk about, you know, learnings and opportunities. But for me, it's two. One is never stop learning. Never think that you know it all. Stay humble. Look around. Be curious. Not even, you know, in the luxury industry. Look at the other industries. There's so much innovation that we can adapt in the luxury industry. Just, you know, on a daily basis, learn something new. The day that you feel comfortable, that day you're wrong. Look for something. And the second one, and it's something that I actually tell my team all the time, and is that when we create plans and we create, you know, marketing and platforms, I always think, and this is something very Latin American, and I always think on, this is not just because I want to do this, it's because I want to leave a legacy. This is because I want, you know, the world to see Latin America in a different way. Is because I want this to be something that has never been before, and that a Latin maybe has never been seen before because we're doing this. And this little event that we did in X country, we did it and we made history because, you know, the person that came would have never come, and we made history. And that's what I always tell my team, is about leaving a legacy. And you know, put it in the books. It's definitely going to be in my books. So don't just go for the easy, for the regular media plan or for the, you know, regular influencer content. No, think on how you really, you know, make history and put Latin America in the map. It's not about, you know, I always say this: the power of Latin America is the power of Latin Americans in the world. That should not be underestimated. So for me, it's that.
Yes, so. So I think we have time for a couple questions. Please, go ahead.
So, I have been in the fashion industry and retail, and something that I learned from, thank you. I was able to work for two jewelry brands. One was in Fort Lauderdale. It was a fourth-generation family business, and the other one was in Suffolk County, Hamptons. And something that I noticed from both parties is that the lab-grown business was taking over fast and furious, like AI, right? So what would you recommend? How does Tiffany, Rolex, Hublot, all these big companies that has over 100 years, what do you think it will be with AI and lab-growing business for the next at least 3 years?
I love this question. Can I take it?
Yes, please do.
Diamonds are miracles.
I know.
Are
It's
a
energy.
miracle
I
of
know.
earth.
Yes.
So a lab-grown diamond is not a diamond. It's something
True.
else. That you might like it, absolutely. That, that it might look the same, absolutely. But it's not a diamond. It's not. A diamond, it's a miracle. It's just something that, it for it to happen and to be created, so many things have to happen that it is a miracle. So it's just that, I think that the people that really want luxury and that really want a diamond would never go for a lab-grown diamond because it's not a diamond.
True, I thought the same thing, but it's taking over. Even Omani families are believing this in more than the last 10 years. So my question was, how will you express this to them? Not just an investment related with state or fine jewelry as an investment, just like in the stock market, right? That's what we believe into big rocks. But how can you see being in those top companies? How do you not see yourself in threat with this new technology coming in?
The thing is that, and it's as I just said, it depends on what you want. If you want a real diamond, don't buy a lab-grown diamond because that's not a diamond. It's something different. It doesn't mean that it's not pretty. And if you don't care and you like it anyhow, my sister has lab-grown diamonds, but it's not a diamond. So my answer is always like, what? If you really want a diamond, just buy a diamond, right? And this is beyond brands. It's across the whole industry. There is a lot of debate about sustainability. So if that, for example, is something, and that's one of the reasons why people prefer to go for a lab-grown diamond. Look for a brand that can show you that they get these diamonds in a sustainable way, that exactly from what mine they're getting it, where it is taking to be cut, where it is getting to be polished, and where it is getting to be packed, and then that solves the sustainability issue. But definitely, I don't think it's a threat because real luxury is not lab-grown diamonds.
True. Okay.
I mean,
We'll
you
see.
see some parallels too, I think, in the fur industry with now so much faux fur.
And I think it all comes down to niche, right? I think if a company is clear on why they exist, their ethos, and who their consumer is, then in their marketing strategy, they're very clear of who they're going to appeal and to attract. Because I think even in the timepiece industry, you have one brand competing to another brand in terms of value, holding its value secondhand. And at the end of the day, my team and I always share with our customer when they come in, but why do you want to buy a timepiece? Why is this important? Because let's be honest, we all have an iPhone, right? And we all look at our time there. But a timepiece, this is eternity. I will pass away, and this is a mechanical movement that will still function 100 years later. So I think there is room for different type of business in the luxury world, but it's all niche and understanding that we have to stay true to ourselves. And I mean, my sister's a Tiffany, breakfast at Tiffany, she's a fan. And so for me, when I think about Tiffany as an American heritage, I think about just that. But then I also have friends that are big fan of lab-grown diamonds, and then they educate me and research. It's not for me just yet, but I see its place. There's room for everybody. Luxury is what you attribute the value to, and I think our brands are heritage brands, which is quite unique in a way.
The blue box.
Yes.
I see a question in the back.
Yes, hi ladies and gentlemen. My name is Liliana Montoya. I have been in business over 18 years. I am creative director of my brand, Liliana Montoya Swim. And actually I felt really inspired about opening my store. It's been a beautiful journey over more than 2 years at Lincoln Road. And this question...
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a really tough journey. But as a small business owner, self-made entrepreneur, like how do I combine innovation when there is a lack of budget to create shopping experience for my customer? Because I see all my customers stepping in, and I love it because I'm able to express my willing because I am the owner. But when I have, my team, the customer doesn't feel the same connection because, it's different. So I think you can resonate with my question.
It's a great question. I think, and I don't know if you've done this already, in terms of defining what is the culture of of the company that you're creating, right? And I think maybe this could be a great opportunity for you to maybe journey into what is it that the customer love about you when they come into the store and are able to be dressed by you, styled by you. And then how then do you put words to those actions so that you could create the culture and are able to recruit a team based on that, but also that becomes the performance metric of how you want your team to engage with the customers, and that's how they'll be evaluated. I think what you're experiencing is normal in every organization. I've gone through with it in past companies. When I've opened, the first few stores, it's always challenging building culture and setting the expectation. Like I said at the beginning, people is messy, but stay at it. I think once you're clear and you put words into what you want your business to be, how your customer sees you, create community, pay attention to the words that they're using, define that, and then you could build a very simple mission, value, vision, and that becomes your core.
You know that there's a myth that luxury brands have a lot of budget?
We don't.
It's a myth.
It's a lie.
Any final question? Okay. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you so much for being here. We're going through a time of quiet luxury, conscious consumerism, and just a lot of sensitivity. The question around lab diamonds is absolutely very appropriate because it really speaks to a symptom of a shift. And I'm wondering, for either one of you, if that's on your radar, how you approach and how you communicate this transition and this sensitivity on, not being too ostentatious, not too elitist, from luxury brands.
It's a great question. Thank you so much for it. I go back to, I think, brands remaining true to their ethos. Hublot is the enfant terrible, which is terrible kid. We disrupted the market by putting rubber on a gold medal. And so for us, we are not quite luxury. We'll never be quite luxury. And we are comfortable as a brand with that, and we accept it. And I think when we have tried to normalized, it's where we've underperformed, because there are consumers out there that want to be out of the ordinary, and we fill that gap and we speak to them, and that has allowed us to be very successful. And I can't speak for Carolina, but for us, we are very comfortable where we are because we're known to be disruptors, we're known to be innovative, and so we're comfortable in that platform. But I pay great respect and homage to some of my competitors that do that very well. And to be honest, some of our consumers also have those brands, but they want something different for when they're going out or what they want to celebrate. And I think what we've done in terms of yellow ceramic, which we've patented, red ceramic, magic gold, this is what we're known for. If we're trying to be quiet luxury, we will then be going into a space where we're not comfortable being as a brand, because that's not who we are to our core.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about the brand essence and keeping that very alive and being true to it. That doesn't mean that the lab-grown diamonds are an innovation, but I don't think that it really jeopardizes the feeling of the other luxury brands that sell real diamonds. I think we're actually proud of that heritage. That there's a reason why we are who we are. So I think they just coexist, and there's something for everybody.
I want to thank Natacha and Carolina and all of you. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra.